To keep my tanks from getting frightful, lights and sand will make it delightful. It's just I got nowhere to go. Get the hose, let it blow, let it blow. What in the world?
What did you hit, Father Fish?
Let it blow, let it blow. I don't know what's on the screen. The world.
What did you hit, Father Fish?
I don't know what's on the screen. The world. What did you hit, Father Fish?
Sounds like circus music.
Just I got nowhere to go. Get the hose, let it blow, let it blow.
There you go. No.
What in the world?
What did you hit, Father Fish?
I don't know what's on the screen. The world. What did you hit? All right, we're going to try this again.
Okay.
Take two?
Take really?
Take two. One.
Honest God. Hey, Vay.
You're throwing me off my game like I have one yet.
Right.
I don't even know what to do.
What is it doing? It's not bringing up the right screen.
No, it's not.
Well, I don't even know what that is.
Either. We're off to our usual start.
Yeah, ain't it the truth?
Sorry, I just have to
All right,
laugh because what else are we going to do?
Yeah, I know what I'm going to do here. I'm gonna kill the other one.
Okay.
There, that should work.
I was always a big fan of just go kick it around the yard.
Huh, this is weird. All right, let's start all over again.
Oh my goodness.
Are we ready, boys and girls?
Oh yeah, we're ready.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Hit it.
To keep my tanks from getting frightful, lights and sand will make it delightful. It's just I got nowhere to go. Get the hose, let it blow, let it blow. It doesn't show signs of stopping. Water change keeps it popping. Make sure your lights are way down low. Get the hose, let it blow, let it blow. When we finally bid each other good night, we can join the Discord forum, making fish keeping a delight. Make sure to keep your fishies warm. Now our troubles are sliding. No more plants and fish are dying. As long as we have all the fishy show, let it flow, let it go, love you show.
Hello, Mary. Mary, try and sort this one out. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about fish. Fish. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Instrumental break. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. 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 Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish.
All right.
All right.
Well,
Hello.
Let's
we
talk about fish, right?
managed to do that.
Or shrimp. Or snails.
Mercy.
Yeah, it just takes a little extra time every day.
Really.
Stretching.
But I think it's worth it.
Uh,
Hear all those people sing for you. That's
really. Really.
great. Really.
Oh, God. All right.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hi, Joey.
Or,
Hi, Cassie. Hello, everybody in the chat.
yes, hello in the chat from many parts of the world. Thanks for stopping by. Some people are up late, and some people are up early.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are still in bed, I dare say.
Lucky.
Really. Stephanie's
Smart,
cooking
right?
breakfast. Jeremy Tebow, now Wet Sox. Tennessee.
Yes, let's do our
Chubbs. Catfish Terry. What a motley crew. Sharpies. Greg the Guppy Guy. Who else is here? T-Bone.
Aquamate's here.
Aquamate.
Wet Sox.
Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gee. What a... Do-do-do-do-do-do. Guess that's everybody for now. Who did I...
Don't forget Lee. You mentioned Lee, right? He's here,
Is Lee there?
right?
Yeah.
Isn't he here?
I didn't see me.
Oh, maybe not.
Furlough, Mark Biggs.
Yeah.
Paul C.
Glass Box Fox.
Glass Fox, right. And Vinoksky.
Yes. You see anybody we missed, kids?
I'm not sure.
Cubs.
I know
Willie,
we're all over the place. aren't we?
Big
Willie Beck. Willie Beck.
Way. Yes.
Good afternoon from Bonnie, Scotland.
Nice.
Hello, Willie. Willie Beck.
Where did that?
We're
We
gonna
got a visit
Let's
from the
not forget
Robins
Shark.
yesterday.
give Willie a wrench because he's from Scotland. And we love Scotland. Stephanie, that was cute. Yeah, the maths or the song. Oh, dear. Aha. Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I don't understand Stephanie's comment at 8:09.
Let me look at it.
Okay.
I understand her.
I'm not sure if that's a typo or what,
Typically.
but
She's
our Robins
talking
have
about
come
what-
to visit us this year.
She's talking about what she's having for breakfast.
Buckwheat, fruit, nuts, seeds, and dried fruit.
See, I told you I understand her.
But what is groats? I just didn't get the groats.
I don't actually know what a groat is, but I'm going to say it's some sort of a natural grain, so it would be along the lines of an oatmeal or, something like that, I believe.
That's what I didn't get. That one's a new one to me. I got everything else but that.
Yeah.
It's not the germ, it's the seed, I guess.
Yeah, the actual,
As opposed to the germ.
It's real healthy.
I guess.
Is that right? Well, so they say.
Yeah, let's just say it's real healthy.
That's her usual real
Yeah,
health.
so she's talking to somebody. Hello, Dawn. My other sister.
Oh, mercy.
Hmm.
All right. Glory. Tomorrow
Oh,
morning,
except I said fawn.
9 o'clock. It'll be an hour later, starting tomorrow morning. We will be on this evening at 6, but then we would no longer be on in the evening weekdays. We will, however, be on in the evening on weekends, Saturday and Sunday. So we'll see how all this works out. I don't have a clue.
So I'm reading her
Sort of like a
explanation.
grit, but a groat,
Yeah, I see it.
as opposed to a grit. I see.
I like grits.
Well, I
Sort of
did
like
look it up real
groat.
quick, and it said there's organic oat groats.
Oh, okay.
Just never heard of it until now.
A grit, an oat, and
Right.
whatever, groat, grit.
It's one of those healthy things.
They came out with another one.
So you say.
That's what I heard.
Rick,
Is it working for you?
I'm gonna say she will say yes.
Sharpies is more on my level. My usual brekkie, Monster chocolate nicotine.
Oh my god.
A Monster chocolate nicotine. That'll kill you. T-Bone, yeah, we're starting an hour later in the morning. Yes, correct.
13 tomorrow, yes.
So from 9 to 10, right?
9 to 10 Eastern time. I don't know what Aussie time that is.
Are they 12 hours ahead or 11?
I think it's 11. It'll be midnight.
Somewhere. Yeah.
What time is it right now where you are, T-Bone?
Good morning, Rohan.
Or
He's
Aquamate
also-
or GRB. Anybody can give us that answer.
He's also further west in
Oh, okay.
Australia.
Yeah, he could be 12.
Well, we could get a general idea.
Oh, he said it's Aquamate says it's midnight
Yeah.
where he is.
Okay.
So that'll be 1 in the morning there, my word. Well, it's sometimes somewhere, everywhere on the earth at any one point in time. It is it is every hour of the day.
Sorry.
So
It's
T-Bone's saying
every
it's
Just
moment.
11.
comment.
T-Bone says it's 11 his time.
I'm sorry, it's 11 there.
I know.
I guess currently, so it will be midnight then.
Right. So
But
it'll be
T-Bone, you're in everybody's stream 24 hours a day. I don't know how you do
really.
it.
Yeah, I see him go
Yeah.
on later to
Everywhere.
Justice stream. I'm like,
T-Bone
that's
is
much
everywhere. Funny stuff.
It is.
Living on YouTube. Life on YouTube.
So if we've missed saying hello to anybody, we apologize.
Quinoa. Sharpie's talking about quinoa. Groats can normally be found in the birdseed section at
That's
the
what I
farm.
was laughing at.
I believe you pronounce that quinoa.
Duffy, are you
Mom
shopping
said
in the
quinoa.
birdseed section?
I know. Probably not, but
I know she's not. I'm just giving her a hard time.
Oh yeah, Jupiter and Saturn are aligned tomorrow night. That'll be cool. It's the first time in 800 years or something they've been aligned. That's the reputed to be the original Christmas star. The alignment of Jupiter and Saturn.
Oh, wow.
interesting. Okay.
So Aquamate
Not really a
says
star then.
you stream while he sleeps, with the exception of right now because
Three
he's
while
here.
you sleep, right? Right. Paul C says a broken clock is right twice a day. Depends on whether it's a 12-hour or a 24-hour clock there.
I have a clock that it's 5 o'clock every hour. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Just stays 5 o'clock all the time.
Yeah.
That's
It's
kind of
due,
a
but yeah, it's 5
pointless
o'clock
block.
somewhere.
Dreamweaver Aquatics. Is Dreamweaver new?
I believe so.
Dreamweaver Aquatics, welcome. Nice to have you here. Good to see you. Where are you from, Dreamweaver? We try to keep track of people to find out what time it is where they are.
Remind us where you're all from. Just go ahead and throw that reminder in. Let every new person know.
Mechanical clock. Hmm.
So,
Ohio. They're from Ohio.
Ohio, very good.
Ohio.
All right.
Nice.
So
There are
that's
a lot
an
of
hour.
people, fish keepers
So
from
that's
Ohio.
an hour, whatever it is, later, and it's
No,
no, it's earlier, isn't it?
they're on
It's an hour
Eastern
earlier.
Standard Time, I think.
So they would be at 7. Is
North
that
of
right?
Columbus. They're north of Columbus.
They would be at 7 o'clock.
Douglas is chiming in and saying he's from Durban, South Africa.
Oh my, Douglas
Oh,
Boyens,
nice.
Boyens,
Well, not for me, Michael, but for some people.
Durban, South Africa. Very nice. We had somebody else on from South Africa. I guess it's been a while. Nice to meet you, Douglas. Nice to have you with us. We are all over the world. Last
Were we?
night we had a young man trying desperately to get on.
Yeah, and Rohan's back in here this morning, so.
Hi, Rohan.
Yes.
Rohan.
Well, it is not my wine clock. If it was going to be a clock, it would be a different choice.
A different, I see.
What is that?
Yeah, Rowan is in the Himalayas, and has been on before. He came on in September for my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
He had a birthday. He had a birthday
Oh, that's
cake
right. Right.
Yeah,
with
he made a
candle
chocolate.
in it. One candle in the birthday
Cute.
cake, and he lit the candle and asked me to blow it out, and I blew it out, and it went out. It was amazing. There's the butterfly effect, and then there's the father fish effect.
Well, Douglas says loves your channel.
Thank you.
Like loves.
And Furlough says
And
that
hello, John Roach.
what is this craziness?
Furlough
Furlough,
has a question for you.
Furlough, you're off your nut.
What?
Furlough says that 717 here in Northwest Florida. Well, maybe it is, I guess. He's in the panhandle, isn't he? So that would be right. That's
Well, you're way up there.
Yes,
I'm
I
at
am.
817.
way up and way west, too. All the way over.
Up and to the left.
I meant in the chat.
Dreamweaver is in it.
Furlough has a question for you, Father Fish, at 817.
817.
A real question?
Oh,
We have our first question. Thank you, Furlough.
Tashida's talking about rabbits or habits? Habits.
I believe habits.
You could have much worse habits, said Tashida.
You know, hanging out on YouTube, I think.
I read it as rabbits. 817. I've got
rather it was rabbits.
28 17s here.
Furlough says, what is your opinion on the best food for fry?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, dear. It depends on the fry, of course.
Right.
I mean, they're fry. They're a very teeny tiny, weeny little fry. And they're big, gargantuan fry. So that's a difference. But for the average small fry, I like microworms. That's really my favorite food for feeding baby fish. Microworm culture, similar to vinegar eels. They're about the same size. Vinegar eel is, I find, to be a bother. Microworms are a bother too, but in a different way. They're at least easy to harvest. I also like for slightly larger fry, I feed baby brine shrimp, or if they're like a cichlid, a Central American cichlid, I will feed decapsulated dried brine shrimp eggs, um, which don't have to be hatched, and they don't have shell on them, so they can eat them. They can eat them whole and right away, and they do really well with them. Like Severum angels, fried that are a bit bigger, that are large enough to be able to take them. Tiny fry like tetras and the like cannot take those eggs. They can't take a baby brine when they're born. Bettas, for example, bettas will they're able to eat the micro worms. I find what works equally well is hatching out or growing out a culture of paramecium. That's the ultimate tiny food. Goldfish breeders feed paramecium to their baby fish. Joey, what do you feed to your
I
brand
feed microworms.
microworm? Yeah. Have you ever done paramecium culture?
No,
It's
I just do
easy.
microworms. I have, a couple cultures of microworms going all the time.
You keep them going. Yeah. The trick
Yeah.
is to keep them going.
Oh, I keep them going.
Wow.
I always have two.
How often do you set up a new one?
Not very often at all.
Really?
I know everybody
Update us
says
on
you have
how
to set
that
them up
started?
every 3 or 4 weeks. I don't.
And they don't go bad on you?
No.
Mine always go bad. What do you put them together with? What do you use?
Now you're asking my secrets.
I know. Tell me.
First, tell us where you got them from. Can you help us?
Oh my goodness, I bought them. I don't know. 2 or 3 years ago, I bought a little culture off of eBay. Seriously.
Yeah, they're
I don't
available.
even know who it was.
So what do you use?
I do half oatmeal and half rice, and it molds less.
Half oatmeal. Do you put?
I boil it, and
Really?
cook oatmeal and cook rice together. Let it cool off. Then I put it in whatever I'm going to put it in. I'll grab one, and
Yeast? Do you use
and then I
yeast?
put dry yeast on the top.
Huh.
And every once in a while after that, I throw in some yeast.
Huh.
I would like to know, do you rinse the microworms?
No,
If you what?
Do you need to rinse the microworm?
No.
You
this
can't.
is my
rinse it.
microworm culture. Those are all
Huh.
worms. I
Oh,
go
look
in there
how
with a
deep that
pipette
is.
and scrape the edge. And you don't want to get the bottom part because that has your oatmeal and stuff in it. You don't want that in your tank. But, I can harvest those every day.
That's really deep too.
I
That's
just-
interesting.
Yeah, I use a deep, that's like 2 inches
Huh.
of substrate.
Yeah, exactly.
If you
seen.
do this much, it's going to crash on you. When you fill this, it's halfway, and then it settles. That's how I do it.
Really? Wow.
And then every once in a while, I throw in some more dry yeast.
Wow.
And I can personally go for a couple months on this, 2-3 months.
You have holes in the top?
Yeah, and I got a coffee filter on the top to keep the bugs out.
Okay. Cool. Wow. Pretty slick.
Now, how did you figure that out?
That's neat,
I
isn't it?
had some extra rice one day that I cooked the day before, and I was making the oatmeal. And I don't like to waste things. I'm either using it or throwing it out to the birds or whatever. And I was looking at the rice, and I'm like, why can't I use that? It's starchy. It's all those things. So
Yeah.
I just threw it in and boiled it with the oatmeal and, let it cool. And then, like I said, I fill that tub, throw in my yeast, and then I just take a, like a popsicle stick. You can buy the packages of them. And, you go in, and then you do dip out of that mucky stuff to get your culture. And,
Right.
And then you just go in and put a couple swipes on the top, put that cover on. A week later, you're going to have worms.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Nice.
And I never have mine crash. That's how I do it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It crashes when it runs out.
Yeah, and because people
That
start them
doesn't
too
run out.
thin, I think. They start too thin.
Okay.
Yeah,
Really thin.
exactly. I've
But you
always
have to have
started
a tall
thin.
container.
Huh.
Everybody tries to put them in a little shallow container.
Exactly.
Put them in a
Exactly.
tall container.
I'll be darned. That is very cool, Joey.
And I'm not scientific. That's just how I do it.
Now,
Shutting
that's
Fish
really-
says, Chevy Fish has a comment. She uses Rice Krispies and yeast.
Same idea as my
Yeah,
rice
same
and
idea,
oatmeal.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see how that's the same because Rice Krispies are dry.
Well, she
You are
went.
welcome, GRD.
Chevy, what do you think about the depth of the media that Joey's using? That's a breakthrough for me.
I think everybody makes them too shallow. That's
Wow.
why they crash, in my opinion.
Now, if you do
Right.
not have access, to go back to Cassie, if you do not have access to Microworm and you can't get it anywhere, you can
I've
make it.
heard the potato thing or something upside
Yeah,
down on the
you
ground.
take boil a potato, scrape it out, and bury the potato skin with a little flesh on it in your garden, in your rose bed, whatever. Leave it there for a month. Dig it up, and put that scraping on the media like the media Joey described.
Yeah.
Uh, and uh, and you will have microworms. It is a nematode that is everywhere in the world in the soil. It's a naturally occurring
Yeah.
nematode
And
that's all over the world.
you know, people are mentioning mashed potato. You can use all of those things. I've just found this one works for me. And that culture is literally, I'm gonna tell on myself, 3 months old. That's a 3-month-old culture.
Holy cow. That's really impressive. Now, you said it goes down. So you're
Well,
actually
it's at its level right now. It won't get any lower, but it started.
really,
I'll show you a new one.
huh? Darn.
Chevy says she just mixes the Rice Krispies in dechlorinated water.
This
Now,
is a new one.
Could
That's
you use
just
Rice
starting.
Krispie treats?
Look at that.
So this one's not as old. It's high. It will, eventually come down to about here. But I can go for months with them, and I only add yeast every 2-3 weeks.
Can you show the top again? Do you cut out the middle?
I just I poke holes, take a coffee filter, and tape it on the top, because if you don't, you're going to get fruit flies and all kinds of other things in there. They will crash your worm culture.
Okay.
Yeah, they will crash it, right.
Hmm.
Thank you, Al Wet Socks, for your $3.99, and thanks to Joey for that absolute breakthrough. I love it.
There. Something I could
Chevy,
actually help with.
Chevy said she used oatmeal but learned of Rice Krispies from Dan's Fish.
Well, I don't do that, but I think the rice gives you less mold. I think the potatoes and some of the other things that are starchy and work mold faster. I don't think the rice molds itself. That's
And you boil it, so you're creating a sterile environment to begin.
exactly. And it's really starchy, which you need,
Very cool. Thank you, T-Bone, very much.
So I've missed everybody that's come in, so I'm going to start saying hellos from here, but hello.
So GRB wants to use chocolate Rice Krispies.
Or Cocoa Pops.
Cocoa Pops.
So that you can make chocolate microworms. I would give it a shot
Chocolate
just to be
microworms,
funny.
right, exactly.
If you get chocolate worms, that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, that goes along with my could you use Rice Krispie treats? Because
The ultimate chocoholic, right?
I try it. What's it gonna hurt? Don't crash your good culture. Keep
So
a good
Chevy
one. But if
Fish
you wanna try
uses
other things,
tall.
try it.
Chevy uses tall containers. Do you do a thick media, Chevy, like Joey's doing? I've never seen that. In all my
What, the
years of
thick
doing
media?
worms, I've never seen the thick culture. And
I
it
don't
makes
know, I
perfect sense.
I
It's
just
weird.
figured it out.
Honest to God. I don't even believe it.
And you need a tall container, because if that, you can see
Yeah,
how
right.
high they'll crawl if they're healthy. I mean,
Yeah,
they
exactly.
will go up.
Exactly.
And then, like I said, I just take a little pipette, scrape along the edge and get the worms and dunk it wherever I want it.
Yeah, pipette's good. A little paintbrush works real well.
Anything.
Yeah,
I mean, you could use, some people use their finger. You could use
right.
a piece of paper
I
towel.
do.
You could use a Q-tip, whatever you can get it out with.
Yeah. Michael Long recommends Cocoa Pops for chocolate gouramis. There you go.
Now you're making me want to try a culture with chocolate, see what happens to the worm.
Sharpie's saying, I think I have chocolate worms. Oh, well, that's a whole other issue there, Sharpie.
But maybe that would be a real
Oh, yeah,
culture for
Chevy.
chocolate fish.
Chevy's 2 inches thick. Sure enough. Look at that.
See, mine's probably closer
I was
to 3.
gonna
But
read
it's the
that,
same
but
idea. Yeah.
And Glassbox finds it all disgusting.
It is disgusting. I keep worms. I hate vinegar eels, but I still can't throw the jars out because I feel bad about throwing them away. But I have vinegar eels too. Nobody really knows what they're looking at. I keep them over on the shelf by my stairway, and nobody really looks at it. But one day somebody asked me something, and I took a jeweler's loupe, and I said, look. And so they're looking through, and then they finally got lined up, and they're like, that's disgusting. And I'm like, I know, but you got to have it if you want to grow baby fish.
Yeah, really. Facebook user, if you will go to the StreamYard link at the bottom of the screen, click on that. It will recognize you, and it will post your name when you do a comment that comes up on StreamYard. Now, curiously, it does not come up on YouTube, just StreamYard. So we're getting a few people in from Facebook who are watching us on Facebook.
Nice.
Um,
So
but their comments will not come up on YouTube.
okay. I
So
was like,
Don,
I don't
my
see
sister
what
was
you're
asking
reading.
about the worms. Those worms, Don, you use for fry for newborn.
Yeah,
newly hatched
exactly.
fish.
Right. Yeah, for
Because
baby.
their mouths are those things you can't really see them with the naked eye. The only reason you can see them is there's thousands in a little spot.
Right. Exactly.
But,
Exactly.
teeny mouths, so you have to put them in. The benefit, in my opinion, to the microworms is you can put them in and they don't die innately, so they don't foul your water. So when
Right.
you're feeding,
Right. That's right.
so
They'll
for
live in
instance,
water.
with goldfish, they're not born with mouths; they have to develop them. But they, if you've got a tub, they could be 10 or 12 hours difference between when they can eat and when they can't eat. So I put those in, and then they can eat when they're ready, and it doesn't foul up the tank. And I do that for a couple days.
How much do you put in?
Just a,
Excuse
just
me.
teeny.
Be back in a second. Excuse me.
It's literally a teeny amount, Cassie. It's not even as. It's probably
Teaspoon?
no.
Eighth of a
Oh
teaspoon?
no. Like maybe
A pinch?
2 grains of rice worth. And if you look with a magnifying glass at that point, the microworms have covered the bottom. I mean, there's tons in the smallest amount. It's crazy.
Tashita would like to know, do the brine shrimp come after the microworms?
Yes, I do microworms, and I'm talking specifically about goldfish fry because every, kind of like bettas are different or whatever. But I do microworms usually for 2 days, and then on the 3rd or 4th day, I'm feeding brine shrimp that I've hatched out.
My problem with the brine shrimp is I went to I have an itchy nose, I'm sorry. But I went to Brine Shrimp Direct.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find like a small container. It's like huge, like the size of my coffee.
Which you were never going to use.
Right. So I'm like, it's not worth it for me to buy a $20 thing of brine shrimp when I don't have that many fish.
If Father Fish could even sell like a tablespoon amount and
right.
Somebody like you that just occasionally, I mean, I hatch brine shrimp almost every day, so I will eventually use a big container, but I don't buy crazy sized ones because
there was like only one size on that website. So
yeah, I think they're more geared towards people that are raising a lot of fish. Because a little packet of brine shrimp eggs will last you, if you're not raising many fish, a year or two.
Yeah. And you're using decapsulated?
No, I hatch them.
No.
I do the old school.
Oh, you hatch them.
Hatch
Yeah, I
regular
think
brine
that,
shrimp.
what was it? It was like non-hatching. I forget.
Well,
No.
yeah.
I didn't. I went to the website and I'm like, I'm confused. I don't even know what to get.
I don't know. I've just always done the other kind, the regular eggs, and you hatch them out. So I do it every day. So it's
Why
nothing.
did Father Fritz talk about decapsulated then? Is that already
because some people have a hard time with
hatching
the ones
them?
you hatch, separating the brine shrimp from the eggs. And you don't want the fish eating the eggshell because it can constipate them.
Right.
So, and they will eat them.
Well, I get that, but then are the decapsulated so you don't hatch them? Are they living?
I'm confused on that too, because he'll say hatching. I think you can do either, that you can hatch them or not hatch them. We'll clear it up when he comes back. But I've never used them. But the idea
wasn't sure
is
if
that
they were like alive or not.
Yeah, that shell's already removed, so you don't have. We're talking about hatching brine shrimp. I said I do old school brine shrimp every day.
Yeah.
Hatch them out, separate the eggs. But that's the tough part for people, is getting the eggshell out of the brine shrimp.
Yeah.
So that's why he recommends the decapsulated. But can you hatch the decapsulated, or is it just you?
There are two different kinds. There's decapsulated dry and decapsulated wet.
Okay.
The dry cannot. The dry will not hatch. The wet are kept in a very heavy brine solution that essentially puts them in stasis.
Okay. So
and they will hatch.
The dry would be like golden pearls, or
yeah, that's right. It would be comparable to golden.
Some of those when
they
get older. Yeah.
Yeah, golden pearls is a fabulous food. It's used extensively by farmers to feed their baby fish, their fry. So it's a dry product. You can put it on the shelf, and it's very effective with baby fish. So that would be a third item.
Okay.
And it comes in, I think the smallest is 5 micron, so it's pretty tiny stuff. It can be fed to babies, clownfish, baby gobies in saltwater, which would be comparable. Not as tiny as a baby betta. I don't think you can feed it to baby bettas. It's still about the size of a brine shrimp egg.
Right. So I mean, I start my bettas on brine shrimp usually when they're 5 to 7 days old. They have to
yeah, exactly.
Because they're too
That's
small.
Exactly right. These first 3 or 4 days, they really need microscopic.
Right.
And there's no use trying to feed them anything other than live.
Absolutely, because you just value water, and they'll die. They will die.
They will not make it.
No.
They trigger on movement.
So just to be clear, they need to know which decapsulated they're buying. They need to know if they're buying the ones that you hatch or ones that.
Yeah, and if you go to Brine Shrimp Direct, it'll be clear which it is. You want the decapsulated hatching if you want to hatch them out, but the decapsulated non-hatching are perfectly effective. They work really, really well. I've used them. I've used them with angels, with severums, chocolate chocolate cichlids, with any of the Oscars, any of the larger cichlids that have larger babies can take those decapsulated dry eggs, and if you can overfeed the overfood in about 1 day will form a scum on the bottom that's really easy to take up. You can siphon it out with a little 1/4-inch hose. I think it's generally a good idea with fish like that, where you're hatching out large quantities of eggs, to do it on a bare bottom. It just makes it easier to clean up and easier to do total water changes.
And you don't want that food fungusing, because if your fry eat fungus food, they will die.
Yeah, exactly.
You do not want them eating fungus food.
Yeah, you want to get it out. You want to get it out.
Cassie,
Yeah.
Chevy Fish
They-
said you can get a small thing of
Yeah,
brine shrimp.
they will only go for
I
it if
didn't see
there's
that.
nothing else available. They're not going to eat it
Well,
naturally.
Right, but they will eat it, and
If they
if
start,
you just
they're
leave
starving.
it thinking it doesn't matter,
Yeah,
don't leave
it's
it.
better. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But anyway, okay, good to know, because it's all stuff. And Al, you asked me. I have vinegar eels, which I never do anything with them. I have my microworms, and I hatch brine shrimp. That's what I use to raise my babies.
Right.
I don't do anything else other than that.
So, one more question, I guess. Are the decapsulated, non-hatching wet brine shrimp, are those the ones that like you can put outside in a tub and they'll grow?
No. The
No.
decapsulated non-hatching, what are you saying?
Those would be like the
You
golden
said
pearls.
to get decapsulated, there's two, right? There's wet and there's dry. And you said there's hatching and non-hatching for the wet ones, right?
No. The dry is non-hatching. The
Mhm.
wet is hatching.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought you said get decapsulated, non-hatching wet.
No.
I think where we confused it is he said get decapsulated non-hatching, and then I said that would be like golden pearls. So those are the same two things. And then the wet is the one, I guess, that you can hatch for the decapsulated. That's correct.
The wet, yeah, the wet is actually a heavy brine solution that the decapsulated eggs are put in that holds them in stasis until they're put in a lesser brine solution where they can hatch. The dry are decapsulated. Now, to decapsulate a brine shrimp, you burn off the shell with bleach. You put them in a bleach solution and time it and watch them. And when it turns pink, then you rinse it thoroughly to get all the bleach out to stop the process before it begins to attack the actual uh, membrane of the egg. The egg is encapsulated in a hard shell, and the shrimp do that in the winter to protect that egg through the winter. So that by the end of the winter, when the spring comes and the water warms up, that hard shell dissolves, and the shrimp then is able to hatch. The membrane becomes it becomes accessible to the water column. It swells, and the shrimp hatch out. So the whole idea here, because the shell is inedible, you can't feed raw brine shrimp to fish. They can't eat it. The shrimp is inedible. It'll just pass right through them if it doesn't block them up. You burn off the shell, and then you have this little pink embryo in a membrane. The membrane is a semi-permeable membrane, like any other egg would be, like a fish egg. You can do one of two things with that. You can dry it, and by drying it, I mean freeze dry it, which kills it, and then dries it so you can keep it as a dry culture. In order to be able to feed it, it'll last for years in that state. It will be dead. It will not be alive because it's been killed by temperature, by fast, hard freezing. Or instead of doing that, you can put it in a brine solution, which will keep it in stasis. It'll still be alive, but that heavy brine will act like the hard shell. It'll keep it from hatching out. And it'll stay in that condition for upwards of 2 or 3 years. Generally, with brine shrimp, the older the culture is, the lower the hatch rate is. So, for example, with shrimp that are 5 years old, the hatch rate might be down around 30 or 40%. For brand new shrimp that were laid the fall before and they're available in the spring, the hatch rate will be 90% or better. So each year it goes down. You can buy very cheap eggs that have a very low hatch rate. However, if you decapsulate them, you then have 100% food value. So even though they're not going to hatch, by decapsulating, you still have that embryo in that membrane, and it's still edible. So there's all that about brine shrimp.
Okay.
And I still do the old school with the regular eggs hatching.
Okay.
Yeah, why do you do that? Just
I don't know.
to do it.
It's the way I've always done it. I
Yeah.
don't have any problems. I never get any eggshells.
Well, if you watch what you're doing, you don't. That's absolutely right.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
just I don't, like I said, it's just the way I've always done it. So I just stick with it because it works.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I had pygmy seahorses, and I fed them brine shrimp that I hatched out. I would hatch them out in a quart jar
Mm-hmm.
with a bubbler. I'd take the bubbler out in 24 hours and put a light alongside the jar, and the shrimp would be attracted to the light.
Yeah.
I then used a quarter-inch hose to siphon out the shrimp through a fine mesh net. I used a handkerchief. A handkerchief was about the
I
right.
use a seed. I use a seed. I have a brine shrimp seed.
Brine shrimp net. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. If you do it that way, you don't get the eggs.
Basically, that's what I do. Pretty much what you're talking about, except my tube comes out the bottom, so I collect them with the flashlight at the bottom. Eggs go to the top. I just leave them there for 15 minutes, and then I go back and drain them off the bottom, rinse them, put them in my container. I'm good to go.
You don't get dead shells on the bottom, dead eggs.
No, my shrimp in my container right now are super clean. Would you like to see them?
Certainly, you bet.
Well, I mean, this is show and tell.
Father Fish, can you look at a couple comments on here? And I've messaged you as well.
Yep.
Can you look at the chat at 8:48 and the private comments I sent you? I just want to keep it to fish.
I keep
people.
this in the fridge like 24 hours. I feed out of it. That's all just shrimp. Can you see it?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
There's no eggs in there. They would be at the top.
Your kid, that's in the fridge. You're keeping that in the fridge.
A couple holes
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
top. I can feed them for 24 hours while I'm hatching a new batch.
I got it. Thank you, Cass. Well,
Sorry, I've been talking to you. I haven't even looked at the chat.
No, you're good.
Okay.
But we're deviating from fish talk. And I'm just wondering if it's, the appropriate place for this.
Oh, okay.
yeah. Well, they're talking about cigarettes, Cass.
Well, we all deviate a little bit as long as it's not,
Does the bleach dissolve the shell completely? Yeah, it does. Again, you have to time it. And when the culture turns orange, then the shell is completely gone. The shell is brown. The embryo is orange. So when you burn off that brown shell, you're able to see the embryo.
All right. I don't even know what's the next question, Cassie, because obviously I've been yapping.
Well, we haven't had any other questions.
Okay. I just want to make sure we didn't miss anything because we got off on a real tangent on worms and shrimp.
You did. I was wondering if you could bring up the website, maybe, Father Fish, to show us, because I got on there and I was lost. I didn't know if you might want to bring it up
On
and,
Brine Shrimp Direct.
yeah, and show us like what you're referring to.
The brine shrimp direct, you mean?
Yes. Like
Well,
I think the other thing Cassie was having an issue with, which I understand, is a lot of those containers are huge, and she feels like she's buying a container that's way oversized for what she wants to do, and I understand that. They're going to use them in 5 years.
yeah, you can buy all of this stuff in smaller portions.
Yeah.
Now, you can also call them up and deal with a live salesperson, and they're real knowledgeable. They're sales staff, so you can go through a lot of detail with it. Let me get this.
Oh my goodness! Yes, I forgot that. It's my sister's birthday today. Happy
Yes, it
birthday,
is.
Dawn.
Hi. Which one?
Dawn, the Tashita having one.
Oh, happy
Dawn.
birthday to Sheeta.
Did you just remember, Joey?
Well, I saw somebody wish her happy birthday, and I remembered earlier, and I would have remembered later, but when I was on here, I was thinking fish, and then somebody wished her happy birthday. I'm like, oh, that's right, her birthday.
All right, so right on the front page, the first two items are hatching shell-free brine shrimp eggs. There's a 400 milliliter size and a 100 milliliter size. So you would want to get the smaller one. Don't get the bigger one unless you're hatching out a lot of eggs every day. Because once they get about 6, 8 months old, they have a tendency to go bad, to drop rapidly.
I keep mine in the refrigerator, Father Fish. Do you?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They've got two other items here, Betta Feast and Golden Pellet. I love the Golden Pellet.
Is that like a golden pearl?
I don't
Just
know.
by a different name,
Let's look under view all.
Okay.
They're the sole distributor for Golden Pearl, so I'd kind of be
Oh
surprised.
no, I buy mine somewhere else. I
Do
don't
you?
buy them from them. Yeah.
Huh. Cool Earth. I have no idea what that is. Cool Garlic, green mix. Well, it's foods with. This is all new product. I'm not familiar with that. Oh, they're cool list. Cool. I don't know what all that's all about.
It must be like the way it was dried instead of like with high heat, maybe.
No idea.
They probably found a new way to dry it.
10-pound pail of cichlid food for $100. Now that's a steal.
Yeah. It says preserved with cool cooking methodology.
Huh.
That's their new way of cooking it.
Oh, okay. So it's not baked.
Right. So you're probably preserving more of the natural.
More of the nutritional value, yeah. Wow. Neat.
Cooking it out.
And then let's see. There's mysis, garlic, cichlid, earth cool mix, da-da-da-da. And then looking at the top brine shrimp eggs. Let's click on brine shrimp eggs. And it brings us to premium grade C. That's the difference between the premium and the grade C. There's premium grade A, economy grade C, and then they have San Francisco, which is different from the Salt Lake City, the Utah egg, and then decapsulated. Okay, so
I'm sneaking to get a cup of coffee.
The premium A, economy C, and San Francisco are all eggs with the shell. Then there's a shell-free easy egg. The shell-free easy egg is the one I was describing, that's the dry egg, I think. No, it's not either. I'm wrong. It's the wet egg. Huh.
So what's the difference between hatching and non-hatching? The
One of,
hatch-
one of them hatches and the other one doesn't hatch.
But I mean, is it like one's alive and one's not alive?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's the one. Remember, I was just describing um, uh, freeze drying the decapsulated eggs.
Mm-hmm.
That kills them, and then they dry them so they can they can be kept as a dry culture, but they will not hatch.
Okay. Is it still going to have that shell on it?
No, the shell has been burned off.
Oh, okay.
Grated brine shrimp eggs. These are all okay. Here's right in the middle is a decapsulated
Mm-hmm.
brine shrimp eggs, non-hatching, 16 ounces. That's $25 a pound. That is really inexpensive for a pound of brine shrimp eggs. And what's more, because it is decapsulated, it's actually equal to 2 pounds of brine shrimp eggs with the shell on. So the absolute best deal of all of this stuff is the decapsulated brine shrimp non-hatching. $24.95 for a pound. That is equal to 2 pounds of eggs with shell, which would have to be hatched out, which will give you even less food value than what you're getting here. So for food value, now you can feed these to a lot of you can feed these to a lot of fish. You cannot feed them to brand new babies; they're just too big. Here's an economy 8-ounce brine shrimp eggs. These are eggs that have to be hatched out. So let's see what else is here. Here's the hatching shell-free eggs. The easy egg, 100 milliliter, 15. This is the one you want to buy. If you want to hatch brine shrimp, buy this one. Keep it in the fridge. Use about a quarter of a teaspoon or less in your boot when you hatch them out, um, and they will hatch in 12 to 24 hours, depending on temperature. You can strain the whole business through a fine mesh net, and then put it in a container like Joey does. You can put it in fresh water and
Yep.
keep it in the fridge, and it'll live in fresh water. So
They will. Yeah, for
you
about
don't have to
24
keep
hours.
it
They're
in
good.
brine. You don't have to keep it in salt water,
Nope.
and it'll keep for days in the fridge, and you can feed it out. So that's the best way. The best way.
So,
I'm not. I'm not
real
seeing.
quick, David's saying I never used the decapsulated, just the shell ones.
Right. Yeah, they're easier to use. It's it's a very simple process. They hatch very well, and you don't have to separate the eggs, the shell from the shrimp. Let's see. I was looking. They have frozen foods. I was looking for. They have gel diets.
Don't you want to get that shell off of them though? Didn't you? Weren't you just saying that? So it's better to get the decapsulated.
Yes,
You
exactly.
don't want the shell.
Well, once they hatch out of the shell doesn't go away, it stays there.
So you have to, if you hatch them, you have to separate the shrimp from the shells.
Right.
The shells float, and then you figure out how to separate your shrimp, whether it's.
Don't laugh at me, Joey,
But
between
GRB's
decapsulated and hatching.
I'm laughing at GRB's comment.
Oh, I'm going. Don't laugh at me.
No, I'm not laughing at you. I'm reading.
I'm not doing it. I'm
I'm
done.
laughing.
I'm not doing brine shrimp. I'm too confused.
He says his betta fry are getting smaller every year. Maybe it's his eyesight.
All right. Here's.
I think you just got to do it, and then the confusion goes away.
See what it says? This says decapsulated brine shrimp eggs, non-hatching, 2.5 ounces for $6.95.
Okay.
Remember the other one we looked at was 8. Well, wasn't that much? It was less than 8 ounces.
There was one that was 15.
Here it is. Yeah, it's 100 milliliter, which is about the same for $15.95. These are hatching shell-free eggs. So you can get hatching shell-free or non-hatching shell-free. They're both shell-free. One of them you can hatch, the other one you can't. They're
Now,
both.
shell means, like, shell-free means decapsulated?
Yes,
You're just not
Yes.
saying decapsulated.
that's correct.
Right.
Exactly. I think, by God, I think she's got it.
I think she's got it.
No, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it.
Oh, she doesn't have it.
She's got it.
She hasn't
She
got it.
just, she
I'm
just
trying to get terminology correct here.
Well, right. And that's why I was saying, when I was saying golden pearls is sort of the same thing as the so yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking for golden.
Now you're throwing another
Call it
wrench in there, Joey.
Different things, but it means the same thing.
Yeah.
And,
We just
and
got
Father
to get
Fish,
our,
we have a
our lingo
question that's
correct.
Not brine shrimp related.
No.
When you're ready, we have a non-brine shrimp question.
Yeah,
Well,
go
I
ahead.
see something about garlic. Are you referring?
I'm not referring to a garlic. I'm at Roman. He says, Father Fish, I'm trying to raise the water temperature in a 20-gallon long. My heaters only raise the temp to 87 degrees. How can I raise the temp to 90? A higher wattage heater?
Yeah, or a second heater.
Or a second heater, yeah.
Where was that one?
Hi, Andy.
What time was that, Joey?
Okay,
At 8:55.
you're right in the middle of the stream.
Oh, I missed it.
I'm not buying them. Well, yeah. How much?
But I don't know about the garlic. What is the garlic thing?
Yeah, I'll give him.
There was
I
people
saw-
were asking about the garlic.
Can't pay much. He's got 5 of them. You said.
And then Al said, how do you feed the garlic? He was asking David,
Oh, okay.
how do you feed garlic?
Gotcha.
T-Bones was asking about what draws fish to the
Right.
garlic.
Yeah.
What'd you say about T-bone?
Like, why are fish attracted to garlic? I think that was his question.
Oh, I don't even know, but they do seem to like it.
Like, what is it with garlic? I don't know. Maybe they know it's going to, cleanse their system.
This is where the type of fish keeping I do, I just don't question it. If it works, I just do it.
Right.
But some people want that explanation, in which I don't know the answer. Maybe Father Fish does.
All right. Here's the golden pellet. They're a golden pearl, rather. And this is on the Brine Shrimp Direct list. I typed it in the search column to find a golden pearl. It comes in 5 millimeter. Let's see. I'm sorry. Yeah, it comes in 5 milliliter, 300 micron, 200 micron, 800 to 1,000 micron, 5 to 50 micron, and so forth. So you can get it. The lowest is 5 micron. That's essentially a powder, and that will feed very tiny baby fish. This is a dry product. It's an extremely high quality product. It is a a pellet. So these are 5 micron pellets.
Pellets.
It's
That's not going to be for a small fish.
Well, yeah, the 5
But I
micron.
mean, it is, but not. They have to get to a point where they can get it in their mouth. I mean, I know because I have all the sizes, and sometimes it's hard. They just
they
don't accept it.
You got to get below 5 micron for some fish. That's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some like little tiny, like goldfish. Goldfish are very tiny fish.
I have all the sizes, so you have to start really small and work your way up. If you go from
live
brine shrimp to one that's too large, they're not going to eat it. You have to trick them into eating it.
Right. So the golden pearls is it's a relatively inexpensive product.
Yeah.
That is an extremely high quality product. It's a secret formula, but the scientists who have researched it believe it's shrimp, that it's made from shrimp and probably krill. So it's probably a processed krill made very, very, very fine.
It also, Father Fish, when you put it in the water column, the way they've shaped it, it moves through the water column and it mimics a live shrimp. It gives that movement, which is also what helps them eat it.
Oh yeah.
Have you noticed that?
I have. Yeah,
it does.
It's pelletized. It's not like I don't know.
It's not like a regular pellet. It actually has movement somehow.
Wow.
The way they set it up.
Huh.
Which again tricks them into eating it.
Yeah, that's critical because many tiny baby fish are triggered to eat on moving targets. If something comes past their nose and it's wiggling, they're going to grab it. If it's just kind of dirt, and they're not going to be interested in dirt. But if it's something moving that's presumably alive, they will snag it. The other issue is that a very tiny baby fish has no range of vision to speak of. It can only eat what is virtually touching it. It's right in front of its nose.
Right.
I mean, right in front.
Which is what makes some of them tricky to feed.
Exactly.
And that's why, sometimes it's hard to be successful. Getting fish to breed isn't the hard part. It's raising the fish.
Raising the babies. That's right. And that first 24 hours is the absolute key to being
successful. And some fish, if you don't feed them within 4 hours, they will die. When they're capable of eating.
A lot of them, by the time they hatch out of the egg, have no yolk left. They've used every bit of it to develop to the extent that they've developed. And if they can't eat, a perfect example, well, any fish that takes longer than 2 or 3 days to hatch is using more of its embryo to grow.
Right, it's ready to eat sooner.
Which means it can swim sooner.
Right.
So it hatches swimming. Many of the Central American cichlids that we hatch out, like angelfish, they hatch. They can't swim when they hatch. They're just still a big belly. Right. It's a little tiny fish sitting on a big egg yolk. And until that's absorbed and the fish does some growing, that's the point 2 to 3 days later where they start swimming. Right. And at that point, they have to eat. Once a baby fish is swimming, it must eat immediately. In the wild, they go to the surface. At the surface, in most wild environments, that's where the richest microculture is, right at the surface. So they're surrounded at that point by food and can begin eating immediately. It's virtually impossible to duplicate that environment in our fish tank. So we have to find ways to trick the fish into eating, which is why live food.
Right. And which is why sometimes you have to learn, and you lose some batches of fish, some fry, in your learning process of how to keep them alive and raise them.
Yeah, and that's a really vital point, because if
Don't get
anybody
frustrated. Yeah.
anybody who's raised fish, who's grown them up, gotten them to spawn, knows that typically the first spawn is not fertile. The second spawn is eating, or rather, is eaten up by the parents. The third spawn fails for some other reason. It's not until they get to the fourth or fifth spawn that they have figured out what to do with this whole process. It's a fairly complicated process, and they don't learn it. It's not in the genes altogether. They're they're bits of information that have to be learned, and the fish learns how to do that. They learn how to care for the eggs. They learn how to care for the babies. The first time they may eat them. They won't do that a second time.
Absolutely.
If you find that they're consistently eating their eggs, then you're going to have to take the eggs out and hatch them separately. But usually the fish will learn. So the same thing applies. This goes to Joey's point. You're in exactly the same boat as the fish are. You've got to go through a learning curve. You have to figure out how to do this. And you may fail the first time or the second time or the third time. Sometimes, as in my case, I've tried to hatch out Nemo fish, clownfish, probably 25 times. And the last time I tried it, I failed about as bad as I did the first time I tried it. So I don't learn at all. There's no learning curve. There's a straight line of dead fish.
Well, and it depends on how important it is to you. If it's super important, you'll keep going and you'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out.
If you don't care that much.
Yeah.
That's when you say, I'm going to try something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can buy him cheap, so I don't worry about it.
Well, that's it,
And that'll go through all the work, right?
But, obviously,
but it's wonderful fun to do it. To have all of these baby fish swimming around.
Yeah.
It's really cute, and it's really just super duper neat. Fun
but
to
if you
do.
continue with one thing, you eventually get tricks that work for you, and then you can just move right along. But the first few is maybe rough going.
Maybe how much you care about it matters too.
Lumpy Dog is here. Hey, Lumpy Dog.
Yeah, and Morgan came in.
Did Roman just come in? He's asking you about the microworm culture.
He didn't just come. Well, he said he wanted to try it, and I said he should, but did he have an actual question?
He says that culture of worms is microworms question.
Yes.
I'm interested in trying to keep that culture.
Yeah, and then I just said you should try it.
Yeah.
Because like anything, try anything. I mean, the worst you can do is fail, and then you just try again. It's not going to be the end of the world if it doesn't work out. Just try it again. Try a different way.
The father fish earlier was mentioning the Infusoria. So if we don't have the microworms, you can do that.
Yeah, the paramecium.
Is that the same as Infusoria?
It may be, but I don't do that.
I get these terms.
Because if I needed something that small, I do have those vinegar eels, which frankly I can't stand. I can't stand dealing with them and harvesting them out. But I still keep them. They're back there in those jars in case I ever need them. But they're not.
So I have a question on my shrimp.
What's your question?
Well, I've been trying to figure out like what to feed them because I don't see them eating anything that I add to the jar.
Well, I don't know that much about shrimp, truthfully, but I do know that there are some that feed from the water column, which I don't think are.
Well, maybe this is a question for everybody then.
Yeah, and then I mean, I had some a couple times, and I just put. I had 2 different pellets. I'd put a teeny piece of a shrimp pellet in, and they would eat on that. And then I had a veggie pellet that I would put in. I mean, teeny.
Okay.
And they would eat on that. That's what I did when I had them. And I only kept them.
I have the algae wafers.
So just a
that I haven't tried.
piece. Yeah, I mean, teeny.
A teeny piece. So what I've
Teeny.
been feeding is like a teeny piece of the spinach, but that wouldn't sink to
I
the
think-
bottom. That would float.
Yeah,
And
I
then
don't
the
really know,
snails
but
ate that.
don't they need calcium and stuff like a snail? Wait till
I
he
don't-
comes
so
back.
I
But
need to
think,
look up spinach and kale. Doesn't this spinach is a good source of iron, I think. I don't know. I need to look up kale and spinach more.
yeah.
But because I know I figured we can treat them the same. Spinach
Okay,
and
so I
kale.
think Chevy was saying not the same. So I'm assuming the infusoria versus paramecium not the same. I think that's what she was answering.
Okay.
I don't mess with any of those because I have what I need here to feed whatever I breed. So I don't do the other things. So I don't have any experience with it to share.
Well, I know you guys have recommended the crushed eggshell in the past for raising the water hardness. And I think they'll munch on
or
that.
just-
I've heard LRB has recommended that.
I use either the crushed coral, if it's something I want to leave in long term. I also have used oyster shell in my substrate, and that's like you can get at the feed store for chickens.
Well, these are a mono shrimp, and from what I've seen so far, they don't need particularly hard water.
Okay.
So like a low GH would be okay. Which mine is like 3 to 5.
What is
Lumpy Dog says hungry shrimp will go directly to food. If the shrimp are not eating the food, they are likely getting plenty of food from within the tank. Try feeding every other day. We're talking about shrimp, Father Fish.
okay?
We haven't gotten to snails yet, but there's
So what I wanted to say is, so then yesterday I added a whole bunch of the black-haired algae, that like the long hair algae that was growing on my Nubius leaf, and I put it in there, and guess what? That stuff slides right off the leaf. So that's easy to get off and get rid of.
No, it does, yeah.
So I didn't need to snip the leaf. I could have just like pulled it.
Oh yeah,
right
you
off
could have
there.
just gone in with your finger and pulled it
I
out.
thought it was attached, so I clipped the leaf,
No.
and it was like it just slid off. So I'm like, there's a whole bunch of it. I'm like, is that too much maybe for my jar? Because then I heard a mama shrimp the hair algae.
Father Fish, you want to get in on this shrimp thing?
No,
No?
I'm not good with shrimp.
Neither am I. I'm giving the little teeny knowledge that I have from like the 2 times I've kept shrimp for 8 months,
Well, and you said you have a shrimp pellet.
I used to put in an actual, the shrimp pellets that they make. I would put in a shrimp pellet and then like a veggie pellet, and they would eat them, and they seemed good. Eventually, they didn't die because they weren't eating. I think the fish that were in with them just got bigger and started picking off the shrimp.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, it was a good snack for them. But that's my knowledge of shrimp, which is not much. I just figured if I was giving them a meat source and a veggie source, I had it covered.
Right. And that's what I've been doing. I gave them the spinach for a veggie source. And then I did a little bit of a little tiny piece of the frozen shrimp. And I just cut that into little bits and was feeding that to everybody. But the snails ate that. And the snails ate the spinach.
Well, that's the thing. It's hard sometimes to feed them because everything else is trying to eat it too.
They definitely had access to it. They just weren't going up to it.
But in your case, you only have the shrimp in there, so they should be easy to feed.
Right. Yeah. As long as it sinks, because they're not swimming up to go get the food.
That's why I use those pellets, because they would sink.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody, I'm sure there are a lot of shrimp people in here that can give you plenty of advice. That's the, beauty of the shoal.
Right. Banana slices. Alex says that's interesting.
Yeah. And we all do. And I think the other thing that's neat is as we share, we're sharing things that are somewhat unorthodox, but it works. I just go with what works. Oh, Father Fish, there was a discussion a little bit, and I think T-Bone finally asked, why do fish like garlic? Do you know, or do we just do it because they eat it?
Oh dear.
Yeah, I just said, I don't know, but they eat it.
Why do they like it? Will it come off?
No.
It's a good question. I don't have an answer.
And my answer was they must know it's good for them.
Well, why doesn't that work on kids?
It does. Like when kids are really super young, they'll eat crazy things, and it's you know, and you don't know why they're doing that. Like my neighbor, his child was like licking some kind of rock, and they realized she's like deficient in like some kind of mineral. So I think do it when they're really young.
About eating your spinach because it's good for you. I'm more on that, just teasing about that. But yes, no, kids will eat weird things. Like my sister Dawn, it's her birthday today. Should I tell on you, Dawn? Apparently, was sitting in the driveway one day eating dirt with a spoon. Yeah, we all do weird things. She was little.
Hey.
Anything weird?
I used to play with lead paint chips. I don't think I ate them.
Oh God.
That's probably not good. Because the old house, you know, it's our family homestead. My mom would scrape the old paint off, and before anybody knew that lead paint was bad, we're all playing in it.
My mom used to make fun. I knew she was making fun. Like, you know, your parents are like not serious, guys. Like, you just know when you're a kid.
Right.
She would say, I'm going to put Tabasco on your finger if you don't stop sucking your finger.
Yeah.
And I was like, here. And
that doesn't work. Yeah, I was going to say,
do it.
Doesn't work.
And she did it, and I sucked it off, and it didn't bother me at all. And so then she was like, oh no, that didn't work. Because I ended up liking it.
Funny.
There you go. All right. Bye, Dawn. Happy birthday. I hope you get to do something fun today.
Happy birthday, Dawn.
I don't think fish are introduced to garlic in the wild, are they, Father?
No, and you know, and the explanation of why they eat it, I have no idea. But again, so I just go with you just do it because it works. That's all I got on that.
It's just something that they found is like a natural solution to helping your fish stay healthy and parasite free.
Well, I think in some cases it was to entice them to eat a medicated food or something, and maybe it was just that the garlic covered up maybe that's it. The garlic covered.
I thought that was the substitute for medicine.
Well, Father Fish uses it for both, but when you look at a medicated food, it typically has garlic in it, and I'm going to assume that's covering the medicated taste, and so they'll still eat it
with that.
That's why I assume they put it in there.
And then I think we found out you don't need to medicate. You just give the garlic, right?
Leslie is asking, Father Fish, what were you saying earlier about starting your own microworm culture? I was talking about collecting nematodes in the wild. You do that. One way to do that is to bake a potato, scrape that out, and bury the shell in your garden for a month. Then dig it up, and scrape some of the matter, shake the dirt out, and scrape some of the potato that's left in there, and put it on top of a yeast culture or a rice media, whatever you use.
Right, whatever you've got ready. Yeah.
And it will have nematodes in it, and they will begin to multiply. So it's a way to find them in the wild. It's a common nematode found everywhere in the world in temperate and warmer
So
zones.
obviously that would be hard to do in the winter, with snow and frozen ground.
The
But
gas.
if you can find a culture for
It's easy
sale, and
enough to find.
you don't sell them, right, Father Fish?
No, but it's easy
They
enough
ship
to
pretty
find.
well.
You can get it online. It's
Yeah,
easy to find online.
they ship
Um,
well, and you can just start them right up. But if you
it's
get them in the mail,
inexpensive. Yeah,
start them
doesn't cost
immediately.
much.
Don't let them hang around.
Don't pay more than $10 for a culture.
Yeah,
A
I
starter.
agree there. Yeah, because you're gonna get like what virtually looks like a teaspoon or a tablespoon of gunk. It's gonna look like paste.
Right.
But just get your oatmeal or your rice or whatever you're gonna use to put them on, and just make sure you do it right away. Don't let it hang around a week and then think you're going to do it, because that won't work. They'll be dead.
Let's see. Select Pet says garlic is anti-protozoal and it takes care of many other parasites,
Right.
but it takes such large amounts, it's not really efficient to use it alone, at least in my experience. Interesting.
I mean,
I would say unless
I
you're
don't.
feeding the garlic daily.
GRB says many grasses that grow at riverbanks have garlic taste and bulbs.
It could be.
Oh, that's interesting.
T-Bone saying he used to put aniseed oil on his
Yeah.
bait when he went fishing.
Hmm.
Sharpie says there is a water garlic plant that may be nibbled on.
Huh.
And
I didn't
Lumpy
know
Dog
about this water
says
garlic.
garlic keeps the vampire fish away.
Well, it does do that. It's very good.
There you go. So now we know.
Does it keep mosquitoes away?
And Paul
I
C
don't think
says
so.
some saltwater fish like cheese.
Well, that's nice, Tennessee. I hope she likes it, and I hope she does get into the hobby. He got his mother a Dumbo ear betta yesterday, trying to get her into the hobby. That's a nice son.
All right.
Good boy.
Oh,
That's how it starts, though. One of something. One tank, one
right.
fish, one
That's right. One
one
betta,
something.
one goldfish, one
Yep.
something. Right.
You either love it or you don't. And
Well,
then one is not enough.
I think I was watching Rachel O'Leary this morning when I was looking up the hair algae, because she was saying that Amano shrimp will do a really good job eating the hair algae off of her decorations. So if she wanted them clean, she'd put them in her tank
I
with
have heard
Amano.
that.
But she said if you offer them other foods, like fish food and stuff, they'll eat that first before.
Sure. I mean, I think every fish goes to the easiest food source. Whatever's easy is where they're headed first.
Yeah, exactly.
Same with me. Whatever's easiest.
Yeah. You
Leslie,
can't give them stuff they like.
Leslie
Select
asked,
Pet. Select Pet saying, yes, garlic will keep mosquitoes away, but at the level needed, it keeps humans away too.
yeah. You want to talk about some dragon breath,
I know. Like if I have
Leslie
dinner with too
was
much
asking
garlic,
me about
it's like
the smell of the cultures. See,
hard to
I
cleanse
guess
that
I'm a
palate.
weird person. I don't think microworm cultures smell that bad, but I guess I might say
Only when it goes bad.
maybe it's not. I mean, I just think it smells yeasty when I open it.
Right.
I don't get like a knock me over, can't stand to feed my microworms odor. So maybe the answer is yes. I'm gonna say try it. Try my way and see what you think.
I like it a lot.
It can't hurt. It can't hurt anything. And keep whatever you're doing the way it is, but try this other one on the side. So if you don't like it, you still got your original culture.
Right.
You're not giving up on anything. Hi, Brianne. And Jeffrey.
Brian. Hell,
Brian.
I just washed my hands with soap and water and now have to clean my tanks what do? Well, lick your hands thoroughly, Brian. That'll solve the problem. Just lick all that. So actually, by doing so, you'll be adding organic material to your hands.
Yeah, just do an extra rinse on your arm if you feel you need to.
Don't forget
And
to hit
Father
the
Fish
like,
is pulling your lip.
everybody. We've got 47 watching and 35 likes. So if you
Ooh,
could
I gotta check
push
and see
that
if I
button.
hit it, Cassie. I
What's
may
that?
be guilty myself.
You haven't hit it. See, I hit it already.
Well, Jeffrey,
I didn't. I'm guilty. I didn't give the thumbs up yet.
Do you think mosquitoes like enjoy dry skin, so you need to soften your skin
Mosquitoes?
and they'll avoid you? Or is
If
it
you
just
have the kind of blood mosquitoes like, it doesn't matter what kind of skin you have.
That's me.
They don't love me that much. So if there's two people and they like you, I'll get like one bite and you'll get 50.
I have to be around another person who's like a mosquito magnet for them to go to that person.
But I think those little things are getting through
if you set up this tank using the father fish system, it will be very low maintenance.
Right.
Did you see Select Pets comment at 9:31, Father Fish?
The one on ick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Successfully eliminated ick with garlic alone once. Wow.
My eyes burn. My eyes burn.
Might have eliminated everything else as well. Curious. Could be.
Sorry. Just made me chuckle.
Exactly. When you put enough garlic on your garlic bread and then you regret it later because you're like, you can't get that out of your mouth.
We had a family friend that had cancer, and she went the more holistic route, to cure the cancer, which she actually did.
Instead of chemo.
This woman ate garlic like it was her job. And it was to the point where it would be like, can you just talk to me from 6 feet away?
Did it work?
It worked. Whatever, all the things that she did, and it wasn't just garlic, and she's, cancer-free years later, but whew.
See, I think you could go the holistic route, with that, or try it. I guess if everything else has failed, at least try that.
Right. And but I think her pores were just extruded. It was like she was just a clove of garlic. It was like, oh my goodness.
All right, girls.
All right.
Yes, Brian, rinse well with water. You'll be fine.
Don't
listen to Father Fish. Don't lick your hands.
If mosquitoes were attracted to carbon dioxide, wouldn't they be attracted to everybody? Or is there something in our carbon dioxide that they like better than other people's?
I think certain blood tastes better, and they like some people better than others.
See, if that was true, then there would be an even distribution of bug bites. So I'm not believing
to tell you. See, this is one of those situations where I just go with, they don't like me. Can't give you a reason why. They just don't like me.
Have you always thought that your whole life? Like, they don't like me. They just don't like me.
I know they don't, because like I said, if I'm standing there with 2 or 3 other people, I'll maybe get one mosquito that bites me, and they're biting the other people like crazy.
I was that person.
Blood. Thank goodness.
Bye, guys. Indeed.
Merry Fishmas.
Bye all.
Bye, everyone.